Shalom, shalom. Welcome to Supporting Yah's Cornerstone. My name is Heshra'ah, and that name means moved by Yah. So this video is a what I've read video. I am continuing to share with you the books I read from the Great Ages of Man series that was done by Time Life. I read these books many years ago, and in our homeschool, instead of reading Will Durant, I kind of replaced it with a few of the smaller books from the Great Ages of Man series. A series that includes the history of various nations like the Greeks, the Romans, and so on. But I was just going to share with you today the book Byzantium that is a part of that series. So this is what it looks like. So Byzantium was like an extension of the Roman Empire. It was chosen by the Emperor Constantine to be the capital or one of the capitals of Rome. So I'm just going to share with you a few sections from the book. That's a part of what I do in the series. What I've read is to share with you some thoughtful or some sections of books that caught my attention, or books that I've read over the years. As I said before, we did read these in homeschool. So I read them to my children years ago as a part of, it was a part of our homeschool curriculum at the time. I found that it really went along with the prophecies in Daniel as far as the rise and fall of the various kingdoms that's spoken of within the prophecy Daniel was given. And so what I did at the time was I created a chart of the main of the kingdoms that was spoken of in that prophecy, like the Medes and Persians, the Greeks, the Romans. I also mentioned Byzantium in the chart at the time. I'm not sure if I'm not gonna promise that I'll put a picture of the chart in the video because I'm still learning how to do certain things as it pertains to these videos. So, but yeah, I created a chart and hung it up, and it kind of helps bring the prophecies to life, especially as it pertains to Daniel, the prophecy Daniel was given. So I'm going to share a few sections of the book Byzantium that's a part of the Great Ages of Man series. So as I said before, Byzantium was kind of extension of the Roman Empire. I think Constantine, or some people at that time would call it Little Rome. But I'm going to start reading from page 12 of this book. And it was chosen as the capital, one of the capitals of Rome, by the Emperor Constantine. So I'm going to read a small section of page 12, a small paragraph from page 12 of the book Byzantium. This version of history is more than an oversimplification. It is a misrepresentation. For between the old Roman Empire and the Renaissance lay the great age of Byzantium. It endured for some 11 centuries and formed a strategic bridge between antiquity and the modern world. It not only preserved the two unifying elements of the Roman Empire, Roman law and state organization, and the inherited tradition of Hellenic culture, it added a third and even more powerful organizing force, Christianity. So, with the rise of Constantine as emperor, and with also came the rise of Christianity, because we know that or is spoken of according to this history that Constantine ended up accepting the Christian religion and serving the Christian God. Next, I'm going to share with you page 16. Not the entire page, but a section from it. Page 16. Give me just a second, because I didn't quite bookmark that one. On page 16, and this is just a small little snippet from that page. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the new Christian church developed its own ritual and doctrine, assimilating much from the religions and philosophies of the varied peoples of the empire. Which kind of reminds us, if you think about it, of today, that more and more of the church looks familiar and accepts whatever is going on in this secular society for the most part. And so it kind of reminded me of that, to read that even at that time, they started to incorporate the different ideas and things people were already doing into this religion, into Christianity. Its leading thinkers and intellectuals, Irenaeus, Origen, Clement of Alexandria, took over the language and many of the ideas of Greek philosophy. Many of its customs and services were based on the Judaic forms, but Christians also adopted rituals and even dates from pagan religions. The date of Christmas, for example, was pegged at December 25th to compete with a Mithridatic festival day, although the exact date of JC's birth was not and is not known. Thus, Christianity added to its other strengths a universal appeal. So that was one of their goals, to have as many people incorporated into it as possible. It kind of reminds you of today. You have all types of different, Christian churches and things of that nature to appeal to different people and how they live in this society here in the West. By the 3rd century, it was well on its way to becoming the most powerful single force within the empire, capable of infusing new life into Rome's fallen governmental structure and the weakening tradition of classical learning. So that's just a small snippet from page 16. Next, I'm going to share with you a small paragraph from page 31. So this is chapter 2 of this book. It's called Constantine's City. It's a small snippet from page 31. Byzantium it was to be called until Constantine the Great made it his capital. He called it New Rome, but later it became known as Constantinople. So earlier I think I said Little Rome, but it was called New Rome. But later it became known as Constantinople, city of Constantine. Byzan's name was to live on in history as the modern appellation of the imperial civilization which Constantine established. So it was named, it ended up being known as Byzantium because it was named after a man, Byzas. I intended on reading that section, but I won't worry about reading that section. But Byzantium, Byzas, was the name of a man during that time. But later, so that's what it ended up being known by, instead of more so Constantinople over the years. Byzantium kind of stuck based off a man's name from that period in time named Byzas. but that's from page 31. And we see that he also called it, Constantine also referred to it as New Rome and also Constantinople, meaning city of Constantine. So I'm going to read one more section from this book, and that will be on page 161. "161 is a page that's a part of chapter 8 of this book, the final century. So it's starting to speak about the fall of Byzantium. The chief factors that brought Byzantium to its doom after more than 1,000 years were the continuing struggles for power within the empire and gradual alterations in the social structure that had bound all classes of society to the country. There were also external forces that helped bring about the downfall. One of these was the West's competition in trade, which led eventually to a severe drop in Byzantine commerce. Another was the increasing frequent clashes between the Western Church at Rome and the Eastern Church at Constantinople, which in the long run worked to the empire's disadvantage. And so as you read, and you start reading certain elements of these different empires, you begin to see similarities across the board. So reading history, and if you decide to include it in your homeschool, will kind of help, like I said before, bring the prophecies that were spoken of in Daniel concerning the different rise and fall of these different kingdoms. It helps to bring that to life and not just something that's written in the Tanakh from, years ago. It also helps you to see the times you're in. And sometimes, like, if you decide to include it in homeschool, these type history things, topics, I think later in life, it'll help our children to maybe be able to more visualize their times. They can understand that you're a part of what you're witnessing is the beginnings of a fallen nation, a fallen country, and what that looks like, because across the board, and then certain things won't necessarily be a surprise because the patterns of it, how they fall has been these major kingdoms that were spoken of to Daniel. Their rise and fall, and especially their fall across the board, has been about the same. And then the conditions of the society as they were falling were about the same. And this can later on our children can bring these to mind if they learn them within homeschool. So it's something to consider if you're not adding it, that you may want to add it. Even if you have to kind of read it and just construct tell the stories in your own way, or the history in your own way. But I hope that you're enjoying this What I've Read series. I hope it is helpful in some way, and thank you for your time. If you would like to contact me, you can by emailing me at yazcornerstone@gmail.com, yazcornerstone@gmail.com, or you're welcome to message or DM me and follow me on Instagram also. There's also a Supporting Yaz Cornerstone Facebook page, and you're always welcome to leave me messages there also. You can also leave messages and questions at the bottom of these videos on YouTube also. I'm more on YouTube and on Instagram than I am on Facebook right now, but I hope to get to check over there more often also, and I hope to upload more videos over there also. So please have a little patience with me in that. But you're welcome to message me on any one of these platforms, including the email address that I gave out earlier. Thank you for your time. Shalom, shalom.